we'll try to finish this module quickly. So I welcome you all students back to another session of quantity surveying and contract management, wherein we are dealing with this topic that is contract management tendering and its process. That is your fourth module. Right? We are in your fourth module. So in your previous classes, we have studied regarding stages of works, how the project execution can be done, right? And various other aspects like what is a contract, then who is a contractor, what are the qualifications that are required to become a contractor, right? Some tender, what is meant by a tender, some examples we have seen, and we have seen the necessity along with the classification of tenders, right? So we have learnt up till here in the previous sessions. So today we will start with this pre-qualification process. Okay, this pre-qualification process is to be done for the selection of contractors. Okay, pre-qualification process for contractors. Okay. Okay. So here, when a contractor qualifies for a particular work, when does a contractor qualify? When he gets the tender, right? When he gives his bid, and when his bid is selected, and when he is given the work, right? Then he is qualified for that particular work. So before that qualification, we have a pre-qualification that is done, right? There is a pre-qualification that is done. So what is this pre-qualification? It is just like an eligibility criteria. Eligibility criteria, like any other, so wherever you go, you will find these kind of eligibility criteria. So here also for the selection of contractors, we have a pre-qualification process, wherein before the contractor is awarded, or before he can get into the bidding process, he has to qualify for that process. He has to qualify, and he has to then only enter the bidding process. Okay. So before bidding, the contractor has to have some certain qualities, right? He has to have some certain qualities, certain capabilities, right? And those should be present in a contractor. And if those are present, only then he will be allowed to enter into the bidding process, and only then he will be given the tender documents. Right? I've told you, tender notification he will see, and he will apply for the pre-qualification process if it is there. Okay, it is not present everywhere in in any contract, right? It is specifically given for any large contract or any specific work, right? Specialized work. There, this pre-qualification process is done. Okay, so pre-qualification he has to pass, and only then he will be given the tender documents. Right. So pre-qualification has to be passed. So I have told you there are certain criteria are there that the contractor has to possess. Okay, and if he possesses those qualities, he will be termed as the right contractor. Okay, there is these terms called right contractor and wrong contractor. This does not mean that he is a wrong person or he is a bad person. This is just saying that for this particular project, for this particular contract, you are not the correct contractor. You are the right contractor, or you are the wrong contractor based on the particular work, right? So this term right and wrong is subjective based on the type of project that is concerned with, right? It is subjective based on the project. So right and wrong contractor is by the project, right? It is decided by the project whether you are right for this project or you are wrong for this particular project, right? So that is called as a right contractor and wrong contractor. So the contractors are called for a pre-qualification process, right? Yeah, majorly these pre-qualification is done for large projects, or when there is an important project that has to be executed. At that time, the pre-qualification is called, and then the bidding is done. Okay, who only for those who are selected. Okay, now suppose a contractor gets all the qualification, he passes all the qualification pre-qualification process, and then only the qualified contractors can get the tender documents, right? They will get registered and they will get licensed, and only then they will be given the tender documents and will be allowed to bid. So this is what is called the pre-qualification process. Okay, now just as an example, we have different kind of projects, like we have residential projects, we have PWD projects, we have road projects, we have dam projects. Like, so we have different kinds of projects that can be executed, and for each kind of project, right, we need a different type of contractor who is experienced in that particular kind of work. right? So we have to select the right contractor, right? So he is fit for that particular project to execute that project. So that is the term right contractor and wrong contractor. Okay. So he, as I've told you, that particular contractor should be expert in that particular project. Okay, and this term right and wrong is subjective based on the project that is to be executed. Okay, now who does the selection of this particular contractors, or who terms the contractor as right and wrong? So the owner or the department who is giving out the work, and they will do this pre-qualification process, and they will select and they will term whether you are right for this work, or you are not correct, or you are wrong contractor for this kind of project, right? So the owner does the selection of right contractor, and this particular work, right, this particular selection or pre-qualification process takes some time, right? We require some extra time and effort for this pre-qualification process, but this time that you have put into, this effort that you put into, is worth in the end, right? It is worth in the end, and it helps for to select the right and wrong contractors. Okay, just a minute, I will be back in a minute. Okay. So I hope you have understood what we mean by this pre-qualification, right? Pre-qualification of contractors. So is this part clear? What do you mean by pre-qualification of a contractor? Right? It is nothing but like an eligibility criteria, right? Okay. So next thing regarding this pre-qualification process, the next thing regarding this pre-qualification, what are the documents required for pre-qualification? Okay, what are the documents required for pre-qualification? So the first document required for pre-qualification is called the letter of transmissal. Letter of transmissal. Okay, you can see a documents required for pre-qualification. The first thing that is required, or the first document that is required, is letter of transmissal. It is like a blank application form. Okay, it is a blank application form wherein the contractor has to give all the details of himself, or the firm that is he is working for, all the details of the firm or the person who is taking the contract. And whatever is the documents that are enclosed regarding all the, right, we have many other things to be enclosed, right? You can read here: financial information, details of similar work experience, concurrent commitments, right? All these documents also have to be included. So this letter of transmissal is a blank application, is like a blank application form wherein he fills all his name, all his details, like his name, address he will fill, and he will give the list of enclosures, right? Whatever he has enclosed in this particular pre-qualification document, the list will be given. Like you have the list of figures and list of tables in your reports, right? In that particular format, they will enclose this particular list of enclosures. You will have this particular list. So this is termed as letter of transmissal. Then the next document that is required for pre-qualification is called the power of attorney. You might have heard this word called power of attorney. It is nothing but it is the one who is boss in your firm, right? Who is the boss and who has the signing authority, who is the main person in that particular firm, right? So a copy of power of attorney stating the signing authority, right? So who is signing authority? That person is to be mentioned, right? Who is the boss and who has the authority over your firm, right? So that power of attorney is to be mentioned in your pre-qualification document. So for an example, if you have any kind of work in college, right? If any letter you want, if any for letter for any scholarship or any letter for bus pass and all, whose sign you take? You take the sign of principal, sir, right? So for any kind of work from the college, the signing authority is the principal, sir, right? He has the authority, or he has the power of attorney, right? So that is what is the power of attorney. So this document also has to be enclosed in your pre-qualification. Then financial information, right? Financial information like the turnover of your company every year, what is the turnover, and the turnovers of previous years also. like they ask the turnover of 5 to 6 years previously, or 5 to 8 years also previously. Also along with this, you have to furnish the details of your previous year profits, like previous year profits, like your 5 to 8 years of previous profits, yearly profits. You have to give them the details, right? So these documents also have to be included in your pre-qualification. Next, details of similar work, right? Any similar work or similar nature work you have done, and if you have any experience in that particular kind of work, you can furnish those details also in a document form, right? So of the last, you can read here, of the last 5 or 7 years of experience, whatever you have of similar nature, you have to produce in documents. Okay, so this can tell us that this particular contractor has some experience and is in a better position, to execute that particular work, and can anticipate problems and sort them out, right? Very important, details of similar work. Then next thing, okay, concurrent commitment, you can read here, completion certificates, right? Any complete, okay, concurrent commitment is here. Concurrent commitment, projects under execution or just awarded, meaning concurrent commitment, meaning any commitments that are you have done and are currently going on. Okay, currently concurrent, meaning currently commitments, any current commitments that are there, that you are working on, any projects that are under execution, or any projects that are just awarded to you, right? So concurrent commitments, if any, those are to be mentioned clearly in this particular document and submitted along for the uh, pre qualification. Okay, so this helps us to identify or to know the intention or willingness of the applicant. Okay, very important, concurrent commitment. Next, certificates of completed jobs, right? If any completed jobs of similar kind or any nature, if you have done, okay, so 5 to 7 years of those details you have to furnish. At completion certificates of previous completed jobs. Then, regarding the structure and organization of your particular firm, what is the structure of your particular firm? What are the number of employees? What are the various departments you have, right? Various departments you have. What are the bifurcations in your departments? All those structure and organization details you have to give. So name and details of the applicant, right? And legal status, and all these things have to be mentioned clearly in this particular thing. Next, you can see here details of technical and administrative personnel, right? The details of the technical persons or the technical engineers who are there, administrative persons who are handling the administrative works. Their details have also to be given. Okay, then details of any plants and equipment. If you have any, if your firm or organization, or you as an individual contractor have any plants, if you have any equipments, those details have to be mentioned, and how many number of equipments and plants are free for your particular work. But from the owner's perspective, if he will ask how many plants you have and how many of them are free for my work, right? How many tools are there, and how many of you are, and how many laborers are there who are free for my particular kind of work. So that has to be mentioned. Then various other details are also there. You can see on the screen various other details. You can see quality assurance plan. What is the plan that you have for to maintain quality, right? You main thing that you an owner will be wanting is quality work, right? So what is the plan for your quality assurance? What that has to be clearly mentioned. Any policies or questionnaire regarding quality policy, responsibility, right? And then ISO certification, if any, Indian standard certifications, if any, if you have that also you can mention. Then what is the safety, health and environmental management plan? Nowadays this is very important, right? Environmental, you have to take care of the environment while construction. You cannot just harm the environment and go on destroying it for the sake of development, right? So you have to go in hand in hand with environment. So what is the plan for your environmental plan? What is the safety plan of your laborers who are working, right? Safety and the health plans of your laborers, right? So those have to be mentioned. Then planning and scheduling, scheduling of your particular work. What is the plan, and what is the schedule that you are going to do for this particular kind of work? How you are going to execute? What is the plan that you have made, right? All those things you have to mention. Then handing over the plan, very important. After completion of the work, how will you hand over your project? What is the process of handing over the completed project, right? Handing over the plan. Then you have project close out strategy, how you will finish all the work, and how you will hand over the things, how you will put the bills, how you will get your money, all those things. The closeout strategy, what is your closeout strategy, you have to mention. Okay, so along with all these details, these minor details also you have to provide for pre-qualification, right? So all this is regarding pre-qualification and all the details and all the documents that you need to produce. Okay, so I hope a pre-qualification process, which is very important, is clear to you. Okay, so you can let me know whether you have understood by raising your hand, so that I can check who are all active and who are listening to me. Please raise your hand and let me know that you are listening and active in the class. I hope you are following and you are interested and keen to learn various other things. So many of you might be experienced in these kind of works, so you can feel free to share your experience also. If I am going wrong anywhere, or if you have any additional details, if you are knowing, you can always express those. Okay, you can lower your hand. You can lower your hand. No. Okay. So with this, we are done with the pre-qualification process. Now moving on to the next thing. Next thing, you can read here: contractors estimate and tendering process. Right, what we call as the bidding process. Contractors estimation and tendering process is nothing but what we call as bidding process. Right, you might have heard this thing called bidding process that is done at bidding process. So what do you mean by this bidding process? So I have explained to you what is this bidding process, right? Entire thing. So the first part of this bidding process, okay, first part of the bidding process is what? Pre-qualification, which we have just learned. First part is what? Pre-qualification. Pre-qualification. Then after pre-qualification is done, after certain say suppose 100 of them have applied for pre-qualification, out of 100 you select some, say some 50 contractors, right? So what they will do, they will come and take the tender documents, they will pay the tender fees, they will pay the earnest money deposit, right? Okay, they will pay the tender fees first, they will take the document, and they will go and do the rate analysis, right? Do the planning, scheduling, all the things they will do, and they will furnish their details, right? They will come for the bidding. If they are interested, they will come for the bidding process. They will come for the bidding process. They will pay the earnest money deposit, EMD, what we call. They will pay, and they will give the enclosed what? They will give their proposal, right, in a closed envelope, right? If it is offline, if it is online, they will submit it in an online manner. Okay, so this is the bidding process. Now let us read some important points in the bidding process. So the first stage is pre-qualification of contractors. I've told you the first part is the pre-qualification of contractors that we do. Okay, after this, what is the second process? Contractor furnishes the desired information. Okay, so during the pre-qualification, as I've told you, all these documents are required, right? So all these documents are furnished, all these details are given by the contractor to the owner. Then what the owner will do, owner will sit and he will go through this documents, all the documents that we are submitting in the pre-qualification process, right? All those documents your owner will sit and scrutiny, or he will do the scrutiny, meaning he will sit and go through the details, he will check, and he will shortlist a few, set of contractors. You can see this next step is shortlisting of contractors based on your needs, right? So he will shortlist, and these shortlisted contractors are called as pre-qualified bidders for the given project, right? So the shortlisted contractors will be called as pre-qualified bidders for the given project. Okay. The next thing, after the bidders are selected, pre-qualified bidders or the contractors are selected, the contractor has an option not to bid for the project, even if he has pre-qualified, right? I've told you, even if the contractor has pre-qualified, if he has certain problems, if he thinks he will not be able to execute this particular kind of work, because maybe because of some exception, so he will choose not to bid for the pre-qualification, or he will choose not to bid for that particular project, right? He has to submit the EMD, earnest money deposit. He has to give the money for tender document, uh, taking the tender document also, he has to pay the money, right? So he will choose not to go for that particular thing, and he will just exit from this particular process. So that option is there for the contractor. Okay, then what the contractor will do is he will send a representative to collect the tender document, right? I've told you the contractor has to come and he has to take the tender document from that particular office. So the owner will be charged some money as cost of tender document before issuing the documents. Very important, as I've told you. So EMD, or what we call as, sorry, not EMD, the tender, to procure this tender document, they have to pay some tender document fees, right? It is non-refundable amount, right? I've told you it is non-refundable amount. Even if even if his bid is not selected, that money will not be refunded back to him. Okay. Moving to the next thing. So here very nicely they have given a flow chart of the process, a flow chart of the process. I hope you know what is a flow chart. Okay. So nicely they have given a flow chart of the entire thing from the contractor's perspective. Very important. Okay, so this is from the contractor's perspective, not from the owners. So this is the process. If you are a contractor, you have to go through this process. Okay, so the first thing that you can see on the screen is notice for pre-qualification. Right. So if there is any work by the government or by any private company, what they will do, they will give a notification, right? So we have certain kind of work and you can apply for the pre-qualification. So they will give some advertisement for pre-qualification. That what you will do, suppose you are a contractor, you will you will go through the pre-qualification notification, right? And if you find it is you are fitting in that particular criteria, that what you will do, you will submit a pre-qualification proposal, right? You will prepare all the documents that are required for pre-qualification, and you will submit the documents, right? Submit. Then what the owner will do, he will check, he will scrutinize all your documents, he will check, and he will either select you or he will reject you, right? So if it is rejected, if you are pre-qualified, then you can go with the further process. If yes, if you are pre-qualified, yes, they can go for the further process. If no, then you have to stop, right? You cannot do anything, you have to stop, right? Stop and analyze where you have gone wrong, right? Why you are not selected, you have to sit, you have to analyze those things, why you have not selected, what is the wrong thing that you have done, right? Because you were interested and you thought you would have been selected, but you have not been selected, even though you thought you would have been selected. So you have to analyze where you have gone wrong. Okay. So if you are pre-qualified, next, what if you are pre-qualified? Then you have to collect the tender document. You have to go to the office, you have to pay the fees, and you have to collect the tender documents and study that particular study and analyze that tender document, right? Very important. Then if this is online, you can just submit the money online, right? You can pay them online and you can directly download the tender document, right? So I will show you this tender document later on when we get into this tender document topic. Okay, then prepare the tender summary. Very important. Tender summary you will prepare, right? You will in detail, in depth, you will prepare, right? First you will study, then you will prepare, do the rate analysis, you will do the estimation, then you will, what you have to do, you have to prepare the tender summary. Then you have to decide whether you want to bid or no, right? That option is there with you, right? If you want to bid, yes, if you want to bid, then you can go for site investigation. If no, if you go through the documents, if you find that it is not possible for you to build or to execute this particular kind of work, you don't have the resources, you don't have the tools, labors, any other problem you might have, right? So what you can decide, if you decide not to bid for this particular document, for this particular contract, you can stop over here itself, right? And you can stop and analyze, right? If you have anything that you are facing, any problems, you can analyze what is the problem that you're facing. Then if you decide to bid, now if you have decided to bid, you can go for site investigation, right? You can go to the site, you can check what is the site, what are the details, right? Various other things. Then suppose now you go to the site, you have some doubts, you have some doubts, you have some doubts in the tender document, right? Some quantity, some rate analysis that they have done, some rate that they have given, right? Some doubts in the site, how to execute, right? So all those things will be clear in this pre-bid, right? So the owner or the office who is giving out the work, they will have a meeting, to clear your queries. If you have any queries, you can clear that in that particular meeting. So that meeting is called as a pre-bid meeting. Okay, that is called as a pre-bid meeting, right? Where they will do consultation for queries and meetings are held. Okay, The next process after this is done is preparation of construction related schedules, right? You will prepare properly all the details as per the requirements and you will submit, right? So collection of material information under this, okay, under this thing, preparation of collection of related schedules, right? Under this thing you have all these things that you have to do, right? You have to collect the material information, labor information, plant and equipment information, other relevant information, right? All these the information you have to collect. Then you have to do the uh, indirect cost analysis. Then what is the direct cost that are coming in that, right? All these things you have to prepare. Then you have to determination and submission of bid, very important. After you do, all the related documents are prepared, all the costs are prepared, schedules, plans, drawings, all of those are done. Then you have to submit, and you have to determination and submission of bid price, right? So you will put some profit margin from for you, all right? You will put some profit, and you will decide the final price for the bid, and you will put that in an envelope, right, along with some details, and you will submit that particular bid price, right? Then after the bid is submitted, the contractor, sorry, the owner or the department will call on a particular date, right? They will call you on a particular date. All the contractors are called who have submitted, right? All the contractors who have submitted the particular for the particular project will be called, and in a single room or in a hall, they will open each of the envelopes that they have submitted, and they will read aloud what all of the contractors have submitted, right? Suppose you have submitted some amount, they will call your name, and this contractor has bid a price of, they will call and they will tell what you have put the price, right? Similarly, for all the contractors that is done, then they will scrutinize your bids, and those and who has given the lowest, right? Usually the lowest bid who has given, and who has who is like who is qualifying, and who is all the specifications are meeting, quality and all the other things are meeting, and the lowest bid is always usually rewarded, right? Project is awarded for that particular contractor. Suppose if you are not awarded, they have to stop and you have to analyze. And suppose if you are awarded this project, if you are awarded, if you get that project to execute, what you have to do, you have to appoint project team and execute the project. So this particular flowchart is very helpful to understand from the contractor's perspective how the process is there and what all needs to be done in your particular uh, project bidding, right? Starting from pre-qualification up to awarding, starting from uh, pre-qualification up to getting the award of the project. So this is very important. If you understand this particular flowchart clearly, then rest of the previous things which you have learned up till now will be clear to you. Okay, so the entire thing up to now, whatever we have learned, is summarized in this particular flowchart. Okay, so this is very important. So I hope you have understood this particular thing. Okay, now moving on to the next thing. The next thing is called the tender form. Okay, in the tender form, what all are given in the tender form, you can see here: general description of work, estimated cost, earnest money deposit that you have to give, right? This is given by the owner or the department who is calling for the work. So that in the tender form, all these things will be there, right? So the description or brief description, okay, not the detail, brief description will be there. Estimated cost of the project will be given to you, and then earnest money deposit, what you have to submit, right, which will be converted to security deposit, okay, after your work is awarded to you, okay. And if it is not awarded, this earnest money deposit will be given back to the particular contractor, okay, it will be refunded. Okay, then time allowed for the work for the date to return order to commence, right? What is the time of the work that is to be started, when it has to be finished, that time, and the schedule I will be given, brief schedule, okay. Now tentative schedule will be given to you. Okay, this printed form and other documents are to be purchased on cash payment from the office inviting the tenders. Very important, right? I've told you these, along with these forms, the tender document, right, other documents that are there, that has to be purchased in cash payment, right? And if it is online, you have to pay online, and you have to get the tender documents, right? Where you have to get the tender documents from the office inviting the tenders. You have to go to that office, you have to get the tenders after paying the fees. Okay. So this is the thing related to tender form. Now coming to tender document, very important. Tender document. So what are the things that are included in the tender document? You can see a detailed specification of the work and material that should be used, right? Detailed specification, not brief or not abstract. You can see it is a detailed specification of the work and the material that has to be used. Okay, then a complete set of drawings with details of various parts. Okay, drawings have to be mentioned. Drawings have to be given along with the details of various parts. Okay, complete set they will be giving you. Okay, who will be giving you? The owner. Owner will be giving you this document. Okay, owner or the department will be giving you or handing over this to you after you pay the fees, right? Yeah, they will be giving you this, so you can analyze these specifications, we can analyze these drawings, and you can do the rate analysis, and you can prepare your estimation, right? So general conditions of the contract, then special conditions if any that are mentioned, then schedule of quantities of the various work item of works, right? Schedule of quantities, then where is the location of the particular work, what is the name of the division in which the work is situated, right? Name of the office, where, what is the division, right? PWD division or WRD division, various divisions we have. Then rate of the steel and cement if it is supplied by the department, right? In sometimes what happens, they do not, the department does not believe in the contractor's quality, right? They believe that the cement and the steel they will be using will be of inferior quality. So what the department will do is, or what the owner will do is, supply, sometimes they will supply it themselves the good quality steel and cement. So the rate of that steel and cement, if that is supplied by the department, is that has to be mentioned. Okay. Then hiring charges, right? Hiring charges for the lorries, tools, plants, all the things, right? Then technical personnel who are there, right? Conditions regarding employment of technical personnel, how many number of technical persons have to be there, what are their various conditions, right? How many, what are their qualifications, what is their schedule, right? What is their work, all those details and the conditions are mentioned in the tender document. Then we have various other things like where is the water point, right? Main water point, and where is the power source, where is the power point, right? Where from where you can take your power and where you can draw your water from. Then time limit, like the time frame that is there for the project completion. Then what is the earnest money deposit that has to be submitted, right? And the name of the authority accepting the or rejecting the tender, right? Very important, who will accept the tender and who will reject the tender, that authority will be mentioned in this particular tender document. Okay, so all these things are given before, right? A tender document is taken and analyzed and then go on for bidding. Okay, this is not after the project awarding, this is before the project is awarded, before the bidding process. Okay, so all these things are before the bidding process. Conditions of penalty, right? If anything you do wrong, right? If you do not fulfill any of the conditions, right? If you go wrong, or if you do not do, if you don't execute as per the given conditions, what will the penalty, what will be the punishment, what will be the fine that you have to pay, all those things will be mentioned. Then in case of any dispute, if there is any problem between you and the contractor, sorry, if there is any problem between owner and the contractor, right? Then what is the procedure to be followed, that also will be clearly mentioned. Okay, so your tender document should consist of all of these things. Okay, so let me show an example of the tender document. Let me show you an example. So you can see here, you have tender documents for construction work, right? So this particular work tender document is for what? Is for a construction work on project for reconstruction of this spillway and CFHC office building, where at Gale Fishery Harbor. Okay, so what are the various contents of this particular thing? You can read in detail. They will be giving you instruction to tenderers, or who are the contractors who are going to bid for this. They have few instructions for them, various forms that they have to fill, right? Forms that has to be filled and submitted. Then conditions for contract, right? I've told you conditions will be mentioned. If any special conditions are there, right? Particular conditions, those are also mentioned. Then various various form of tender, then tendering data and contract data, right? And very important specifications are mentioned clearly, bills of quantities and drawings, right? So all these things are very important, which will be mentioned, and you have to go through this. If you are a contractor, you have to go in detail, you have to read, and you have to do the analysis. Okay, let us just go through a few things now. Okay, instruction to tenderers, instructions to tenders. You can see instruction to tenderers. They have a few chapters in this. Okay, in this first section, you have few chapters. So purpose of the tender, qualification of tenders, description of the work, scope of work. See, in detail, everything will be mentioned. Tender documents, what you have to submit, right? That are clearly mentioned. Then preparation and submission of the tender, how you have to prepare the tender, what are the tender prices, what is the date of submission, when you have to submit, and when is the opening of the tender, right? I have told you they will call all the contractors and they will open the tender in front of all the contractors who are bidding, right? So when is that, where is that, and how it will be done, all those things. Then evaluation of tender and awarding of contract, very important. Okay, so this is in the first section. All these things are in the first section. Then you have various other sections, right? So this is just the first section which we have gone through, right? Similarly, we'll having all these other sections also. So you can go through all of these. I will send you this particular document. You can sit and read, right? And you can have an idea of what this tender document consists of, all of these, right? So this is an example of a tender document, right? So because you can see all this takes a lot of time to prepare, right? And it is a very important document. So it will not be given freely to anyone. So you have to pay. You have to get pre-qualified first. Pre-qualification. If you are pre-qualified, then you have to pay for this particular tender document, and then you have to get this particular document for your analysis. So you can see it is a very big document consisting of all the details, right? So they charge you they will charge you some money, some amount to procure this particular document. You can see here excavation in earthwork. So what is the cubic meter excavation that is required? What are the various specifications? You can see specifications are mentioned here, and the approximate quantity is also mentioned. Okay. Similarly, all the other things are including with your technical drawings. See, technical drawings are also given in detail, right? So because of this tender document is not given out freely. They will charge you some amount to procure this tender document, right? So usually 10,000, 5,000, depending upon the total project cost, they will charge you approximately, right? Based on the total project, they will charge you some amount for this particular thing. You can see here the drawings that are included, list of drawings. You can see so many drawings, in detail drawings are mentioned, right? So you can see very site plan, demolition works, ground plan, first floor plan, many plans are included. Okay. So let me just show you what is the pre-qualification document. Pre-qualification document, right? So in this particular thing, you can see here, it is called by this particular institute. Okay, selection of contractors, horticulture and irrigation works. Okay, at where? At IIT campus, New Delhi. So letter of transmission, I have told you, right? The first thing that is there in the pre-qualification document is letter of transmission. Then the first part, general instruction and conditions. General instruction conditions. Second part is pre-qualification and application form. Tables of information, confidentiality agreement, information and instruction for applicants. Okay, so these are the contents of a pre-qualification document. Okay, so you can see here letter of transmission from. Okay, this is from the particular department, right? Subject, you can read submission of pre-qualification application for package for this particular work. Then all these things are included, right? You can see we by certify that the statement and made information supplied enclosed are true and correct. All these things are mentioned. You will be having name of the work, seal of the applicant. So in this form, you will be having certain details, also general instruction, not the entire thing. Okay, some general instructions regarding the project, regarding the conditions of the project, right? So that if you want, you can apply for the pre-qualification, right? If you want, you can apply. If you do not fit under these general instructions and conditions, if you feel that they are not possible by you, you can opt out of the pre-qualification process. Okay, and once you furnish all these details, and if you are selected, then you can go for tender document collection. Okay, then you can go for this tender document collection. Okay, so these are a few examples. I will send these documents. You can go through for better understanding of how these documents are and what are the various things that are included in these documents. Okay, then I hope it is clear up till here. Whatever I have explained, right? I hope you are following. So please, can those who are active can raise their hand and let me know whether you have understood. Yes, Uttam. Then we have Akshachari is here. Kulkarni is here. Okay, okay, okay. Please raise your hand and let me know whether you are following. Those who are actively listening, please raise your hand. Let me check who all are there and listening. Okay, okay, okay. Fine, fine. You can lower our hand. So moving on to the next thing, we have tender notice. Right. So this particular thing I have shown you with example, right? I have shown you in the newspaper how the tender notice is given, or nothing but the advertisement, right? Tender notice, or what we call as the advertisement of the particular tender, that is given in depending upon where the location is, right? It can be given in the English, Hindi, or any written language of that particular area. Okay, so tender notice is nothing but the advertisement that is given. It can be given in various forms, like it can be given in newspapers, it can be circulated through websites, right? It can be given sent to various offices. Then it can be advertisement can be done by using pamphlets and various other means you have for advertisement. Okay. The various things that are written in tender notice, I've shown you tender examples I've shown you in newspaper. What all do they consist? They consist of all these things, right? Name of the authority of the inviting tender, who is giving this particular tender, what is the work, what are the general conditions, right? And then what is the time frame, then what is the approximate cost for that particular project, right? And what is the time frame I've told you, and various other details. Some brief details are given to you, like you can read here. Some details are mentioned over here, like the period of the contract, estimated cost, name of the name and the name of the work and its location, right? Date and time of tender opening, very important. What is the last date of the submission of the tender, right? So all these details are given in this advertisement. Here is an example. Here is an example specimen of a tender notice. This is an example that is given to you. Okay, this is not the document. This is just an example that is given. Okay, you can see here name of the office, Office of Executive Engineer, right? PWD Bangalore Division. Then tender notification date, then tender notification number. Okay, so the date and number will be mentioned in that particular notice. Then certain details are mentioned over here. You can see a brief details of the work and of the office, right? Of the office of this particular office is given. Then tender opening date is also mentioned. You can see tender opening date is also given here, and the location where it will be opened. Okay. Then a few work details will be mentioned. You have seen in the example which I've shown in newspaper, these kind of details will be given. Like what is the name of the work, what is the estimated cost of that particular project, time frame for the completion of the project, cost of the tender, right? Cost of the tender, class of the contractor that is required to bid, right? So this is the pre-qualification that they have mentioned. So you have to be class 1 contractor, only then you can bid for this particular work. Okay, so this is the qualification. Class 1 class contractors can only submit bid for their for this particular work. Then what is the earnest money deposit that you have to submit? So it is 2% of the estimated cost. And I've told you, if you do not get awarded with the project, this will be refunded back to you. And if it is awarded to you, this will be converted to security deposit. Okay, so this is just an example that they have given to you for understanding. Now, sale of tender, I have told you, sale of tender documents, right? Tender documents are not given out freely. They will cost you some amount. So that is the sale of tender document. So these tender documents have to be prepared and kept ready. Okay, kept ready for sale. Okay, before the notice is given out, before the tender notice is given out, this tender documents needs to be prepared and kept ready. Then receiving, opening and scrutiny of tenders, I've told you, I've explained all this, how it is received, right? It is received in post. It can be received by post, or it can be directly submitted. to that office in closed envelopes. Okay, in closed envelopes it will be submitted. You have to make sure that it is properly received. You have to take the receiving signature, right? And any other earnest money deposit, all those things you have to pay, all those things, and properly you have to give out your tender this thing package. Okay, then opening of tenders, I've told you, it will be opened at a specific time and a specific place. They will read out all the rates that are offered by various contractors, and the tender is awarded to a single contractor. Then preparing a comparative statement of tenders. This is very important. So once all of them have submitted, what they will do is the owner or the department, they will prepare a comparative statement to compare all the bids that have come, right? All the details from the contractors, all the project, all the documents they have submitted, right? They will go through that. They will prepare a comparative statement. So let me show you an example of the comparative statement that is prepared. So you can see here example of a comparative statement, how it is prepared. So you can see on your screen here a comparative statement of technical bids received against the tender. Okay, so this is the tender which is given, and for this particular tender, this is the comparative statement that is prepared. So you can see here a checklist is prepared. So what is the tender fee? Tender fee deposit have they paid? These are the various contractor and their firms or their names. Okay, AV Technologies, Pernica, then we have Merchandise Mart, JKG, CD Mart. These are the various contractors who have applied, and whether they have paid the tender fee deposit. Whether yes, it is given as yes. If it is no, it will be given as no. So this is the checklist that is prepared initially. So have they submitted the EMD? Have they submitted the validity? Have they submitted the acknowledgement letter? Right, letter of submission. Then past experience details. You can read various other things are there, and power of attorney you can see. Then time schedule, original drawings, all those things whether they have submitted or not. Yes or no is checked. Then technical qualification. This is very important. Technical qualification. So let us read the first thing, past experience. Okay, past experience out of 40. So this is the total marks. Like, okay, 40 marks is the total thing out of 40. For this particular contractor, EV Technologies, he has scored 30 out of 40 in terms of experience. So he has a lot of experience in this kind of work. Okay, 30. And this particular contractor has scored 10, 10, 10. So other contractors are not very experienced. Okay, and the first contractor is very much experienced in this kind of work. So you can see regarding tools and equipments out of 30. So this contractor has scored 30. So he has very good and very nice tools and equipments to execute this kind of work. So other contractors have received 20 and 25 out of 30. Time chart. So what is the time frame that he will complete in, right? He will prepare proper schedule and how he will complete, whether in time, whether out of time, right? Depending upon the documents he has submitted, right, of past experience, they can prepare this time chart. So out of 30, you can see he has got 25. Very nice. And here you can see this particular contractor has got 30. Okay, 30. And then here others have got 20, 20, and 20. Okay, then the total marks are 100, right? Out of 100, this particular contractor has scored 85. Other have scored lesser. So this particular contractor will be usually awarded with the tender, right? They will be awarded with the contract or with the project. So they will prepare this particular comparative statement, right? And they will award the contract based on the marks. So depending upon this technical qualification and depending upon what they have given the bid rate, right? Bid rate, right? Bid rate, who is usually has given the lowest rate will be considered, and along with that this technical qualification, who has scored the highest, they will check technical qualification. Combination of these two will result in contract awarding. Who has scored the highest marks in technical qualification and who has given the lowest bid rate, they will check and they will award the contract. Okay, so this is very important to understand. That is the comparative statement that is prepared by the department or prepared by the owner, right? So I hope you have understood this comparative statement. Okay, so this is why the comparative statement is prepared. I hope you have understood the importance of this particular comparative statement. Then scrutiny of tenders, I've told you scrutiny of tenders is done, and then this comparative statement is prepared. Okay, then coming to acceptance of tenders. Acceptance of tenders, I've told you, usually the lowest tender is accepted. Okay, in some or in some exceptional cases where it is not the higher experienced person is given, even if the tender, even if the bid rate is higher, the one who has higher experience will be awarded. Then here, very important section here. The tenderer whose rate are accepted is intimated to sign the contract documents. Right. So who the tenderer or the contractor who is awarded, right, he will be called and he will be intimated to come and sign on the contract documents. Okay. If he fails to sign within a specific time, right, so a certain time frame will be given. In this time frame you have to sign this document, right? So they will sit and they will discuss and they will prepare this contract document, right? And if the contractor is not he is not accepting any offers, right, he will not sign this document. Okay, and if he tells that he wants some time to think, right, they will allot some specific time, and if he signs within that, then he will be awarded. And if he does not sign within that specific time, then it will be cancelled, right, and his security deposit will be forfeited. That security deposit will also be not given back to him. Okay. And the work may be allotted. Now if that contractor is not able to do the work, right, then the work will be allotted to the next tenderer whose bid is lowest among the others. Okay, so this particular statement or this paragraph section is very important. Okay, letter of intent. Letter of intent is also very important. That a letter of intent is issued to the contractor. Okay, to the contractor requesting him to submit necessary documents. Right, so letter of intent is submitted by the owner to the contractor requesting him to submit the necessary documents. Okay, then after the letter of intent, let us check what is the next thing. Work order, very important. Work order will be given from the owner or the department to the contractor, that you can go forward with the work and you can start the work, right? You can initiate the work. After all the documents are signed, after all the agreement from the owner and the contractor is done, then the work order is given, that you can start and you can initiate with the work, you can go forward with the work. Okay, so that is the work order which is given. Then agreement. So this is the general thing, right? Agreement is nothing but the document which are signed by both parties. Agreement is the document which are signed by both the parties, and it is under the legal framework, right? It is under a legal framework. Okay, so this is regarding coming up to work order, getting the work order. Okay, getting the work order. Now after the work has been started, right, the work is started, the work is going on in the field. So how do you maintain the things that are going on in the field, right? You have to maintain some documents. So the site order book is to be kept at the site. Okay, the contractor is responsible. He will prepare this contract site order book, and he will keep noting down all the daily details, right? Site order book shall be kept at the site of work, okay, under the custody of the assistant engineer or his authorized representative. Okay, so what are the important details that have to be noted down in the site order book? Directions or instructions from the departmental officers, right? They have to be noted down, and we have to check whether whether the site work is going on as per the directions and the instructions of the departmental officers. Then the contractor or his authorized representatives shall regularly note down the entries in the site order book, right? That is to be done daily. Note down has to be done. What are the technical persons that are there, that are working, what is their time frame, right? And what are the work that is handled by them. All those things are to be noted down. Then very important, this point is, if any extra claims, right, if any extra work is done, if any extra contingency are to be that they are to be also noted down in this particular site, okay, site order book. Because any extra thing that is executed in the field, that will be also to be paid by the owner, right, department. So to claim that bill, right, for the extra work that you have done, so to have official document that is to be so that you have to keep this site order book. If you have done any extra work, if any supplementary work, if any contingency are there, right, that has to be noted down in the site order book, so that you can claim for that bill later on. Okay, so now along with the site book, your final bill. Okay, to verify this final bill, right? This and also to this supplementary claims, right? We need this site order book, so that it is you can verify with this, right, site order book, and you can pay the bill, right? So this site order book is also very important. Next, coming to work program. You can see your work program. Okay. So the contractor shall have to submit within 3 days of the written order to commence the work to engineer in charge in fully detailed program showing the proposed method of construction, plant and temporary works, sequence of operation, right, and time schedule. So what the contractor has to do? Contractor, after he has given the written order to commence the work. Okay, once he has been given this work order, right? Work order he has been given in 3 days. In 3 days, within 3 days, he has to submit this work program. Submit within 3 days this work program, which will tell how the work will be done, how the work will be executed in the field, what is the sequence of execution, what is the time schedule for each item of work, right, and how the progress is going on and how it will be maintained. All these details have to be prepared by the contractor and has to be given to the owner or the department within 3 days of the written order, okay, to commence the work. Okay, so this is called the work program that has to be prepared by the contractor and submitted within 3 days. Okay, so next thing, e-tendering system, very important. Nowadays, all the notices or the tender notice or the tender advertisement that you see will be in the form of e-tender. E-tender notice, you will see e-tender, e-tender notice or e-notification. You will be seeing these kind of words. So what is meant by this e-tender? What is this word e represent? E, like in email, you have write email. Similarly, you have an e-tender. What is the meaning of this e over here? What is the full form of the e over here? Can you try to identify? What is meant by e-tender? What is the full form of e-tender? Like in email, you have write email. Similarly, you have an e-tender. What is the full form? No idea. What is meant by this e? What does this letter e represent over here? What is meant by e-tender or what is meant by email?
Electronics,
Correct.
electronic tendering.
Very good. Very good. So E nothing but it represents electronic, right? E represents electronic, meaning it is done in online format, right? It is not done in offline, not physically. It is in E format or electrical format, electronic format, right? E-tender. So I have shown you how the e-tender notice is given, right? E-tender notice, it is given. Then all the process that we have learned until now, right? All the processes that we have studied, all those processes will be done online. They will be done online itself, right? So the giving of the e-tender notice is online. Then procurement of tender documents is also online. Then submission of the bid is also online. Then opening of the tender documents, right, and the awarding of the tender is also online. So that is the e-tendering system, which is now usually gone forward with, right? The physical process of submission submission, then going to the office is now not followed usually. Now e-tendering system is going on. Okay, now what are the various advantages of e-tendering? Can you mention? Try to mention a few advantages you have on the screen. You can read and you can try to answer. Various advantages of e-tendering system. One, I will tell you that we will not require any paper. So paperwork is reduced. Sorry, paper and paper is reduced, right? Usage of paper is reduced. Hence, it is environmentally friendly. Next, any other advantage you can think of e-tendering system? You can read on the screen. You have answer already on the screen. Or should I call out? Manjunath, Manju is there, Manju Sindigi. Manju Sindigi is here. ಯಾವ್ದರ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ರಿ ಈ ಟೆಂಡರಿಂಗ್ದು? ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್. ಏನೈತ್ರಿ ಇವತ್ತು? ಯಾರು ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನೈತ್ರಿ? ಬಾಳು ಪಾಟೀಲ್, ಬಾಳು ಪಾಟೀಲ್. ಯಾವ್ದಾರೆ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಓದ್ರಿ, ಯಾವ್ದಾರೆ ಒಂದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗತ್ತೆ.
ರಿಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಟೆಂಡರ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ರಿ? ಟೆಂಡರ್ ರಿಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಟೆಂಡರಿಂಗ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ರಿ? ಟೆಂಡರಿಂಗ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ರಿಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗತ್ರಿ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಇದ್ರೆ? ಹೌ ವಿಲ್ ಇಟ್ ರಿಡ್ಯೂಸ್ if it is online? The tendering from giving the notice to awarding, how will it get reduced?
Sir, ಇದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್.
ಹೌದು, very good. So it will be reduced because you can submit online, okay, no going to the office. You can keep your deadlines lesser, right? Deadline or the time frame you can keep lesser. So every process time frame can be reduced. Hence this total tender time or total tender cycle time can be reduced. So that is one advantage of e-tendering. Then fast and accurate pre-qualification and evaluation, right? If it is online, that particular online sheet can be directly prepared. It can be directly compared, right? So that it will be fast and accurate, right? Pre-qualification and evaluation. If it is manual, if you have hard copy, then it will be difficult. If you have soft copy, you can directly copy paste the details. You can prepare that particular comparative statement. This can be prepared easily, and hence it will be fast and it will be accurate. Then faster response to questions and point of clarification during the tender period, right? If there is any response or any clarification that is required, you can send an email, you can connect you through any means, right? Any electronic means here, the contractor can contact the owner and his clarification can be taken, right? So faster response will be available, and tendering time is reduced. Okay, so various other things are there. You can read various other advantages also there, right? So regarding e-tendering system, so one more I have told you, we require less amount of paper, right? So it is environment friendly. Okay. So coming to contract document, after tender document, I hope you know what is meant by a tender document. Now we have to learn what is meant by a contract document. So in a contract document, all these things are included. All these things are included. Maybe some extra things may be included depending upon the project. So these are the general things that need to be included in your contract document. The contract document is the contract drawings have to be included, right? Contract drawings, then specifications in detail. Okay, all these things are to be in detail. Specifications are to be included. Then general conditions of contract. General conditions of the contract, any special conditions if are there, that also to be included. Then the agreement which is made between both of the parties, right? Agreement that has to be included in the contract document. What is a contract document? It is a summation of all these documents. Okay, summation of all these. Okay, the bill of quantity is BOQ if applicable. Okay, very important. All these documents have to be produced in this contract document. This is the summation of all these. Okay. Now coming to contract drawings, I've told you this is what? This is in the form of two-dimensional diagrams, right? What you prepare in the AutoCAD, right? AutoCAD or a soft copy or what we call as plan or a blueprint, right? So that is the contract drawings that are submitted in this contract document. So you can see they are soft copy and they are read only. If it is soft copy, if you submit in a form of soft copy, it is in the read only format. What do you mean by this read only AutoCAD drawing files? Read only AutoCAD drawing files. What is meant by this read only? There is one more term called as read and write or read and edit. Read and write or read and edit. What is the difference between these two? Read only and read and edit. And why do we have to submit in this format only, read only format? And why not read and edit format? Any reason you can think of? You know the reason you are not answering. I don't know why. Why do I have to keep it only read only format and not read and edit? ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ, ಯಾಕ್ರಿ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಒನ್ ಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಇವತ್ತು? Okay, so if you are not answering, I will just read and I will finish up with the unit. Okay, if you are not interacting, it will become boring and you will also not feel any interest. It is not a recorded session, Baba. You have kept live session, live classes for you to interact. See, if that is not being followed, then what is the use of keeping live class? You can just record and you can upload on YouTube. No, you can watch later if you want. Okay, fine, no problem. I will just finish reading and I will finish up with the project, with this particular topic. Okay, so here in this contract document, contract drawings, okay, you have to include what? You have to include site drawings. You have to include architectural drawings, if any, right? Architectural drawings, structural drawings, right? And then here, these other drawings that are included, like heating drawings. Heating is not usually followed in our particular India. Then venting and air conditioning, then electrical, right? Electrical drawings, ventilation and air conditioning drawings. Then special details, if any, are to be included in this contract document. Okay, then regarding specification, okay, in specification, you know what you have to include. You have to include specification of the quality of the materials, quality of workmanship that is required, and the testing that is to be done. Okay, so these are very important details that I have to mention in the specifications. Now coming to any other specification, right? Any approved manufacturers, if you want, then you can list and you can mention those. Then any relevant IS Indian standard description describing the material, right? Any IS codes that are there that have to be included if you want them to follow. Inspection and installation method, how it has to be inspected, how the things are to be installed, if any machinery is involved. Okay, then coming to this specification, types of specification, I hope you have learned this, right? Types of specification, you can read this figure gives you types of specifications. Okay, we have performance criteria, right? Specifications given in terms of performance. Specification given in terms of performance. Suppose an example is suppose a concrete of M25. This is a specification given in terms of performance, right? They give you the performance criteria that this particular concrete has to get, or it has to attain 25 Newton per mm square of target strength. Right, so this is the performance criteria which is mentioned. That is not mentioned in terms of ratio, right? Ratio like 1:1:3, like 1:2:4. In that particular format, ratio is not mentioned, right? They mention in terms of performance. So here you can see here the performance of the finished product is specified. So after finishing, after the concrete is laid and it is hardened and cured, this is the performance criteria that it has to attain. Right, it has to attain 25 Newton per mm strength. Okay, so this is the performance. Okay, for example, 28 days strength of concrete should be specified. Okay, suppose they have given an example of 28-day cube strength of concrete, that is 35 MPa or M35 concrete. Okay, the next type of specification that is to be included is design specification. Design specification. If the process of design, okay, process and design both are furnished under design specification. Okay, what is the design process that you have followed? Any code book if you have followed for any design, right? For concrete, you will follow IS 456. If you are dealing with pre-stress, you will use IS 1343. And if you are dealing with steel design, you will use IS 800. So the design process, what are the process you are following, and what are the design details, all the things after the design along with calculations, you have to mention in this design specification. The designer has the liability for the performance, or product. The person who has designed, suppose you have designed, so you are held liable, you are held accountable for the performance of this product. Similarly, in terms of this first criteria, that is performance specification, here also the one who is giving the material, right, they are held liable for the performance of this particular product. Here the designer is held liable for the performance of the product. Then we have open specification. Open specification, right, here we have any product that meets the requirement is acceptable under open specification. Open specification, as I've told you, we have many types of specification: open, closed, and then we have proprietary, and then we have equal. These are types of specification. Any product that meets the requirement is acceptable under the specification. Suppose they tell you, for an example I'm telling, they tell you that you need to have a cement of grade M43 or grade M or grade 53. Now the contractor is given an open specification, right? Open specification that the cement has to be a grade of M53. So he can opt for any type of cement, any brand of cement. Okay, so that is not mentioned. Brand and all are not mentioned. Only the performance criteria is mentioned. So you can opt for any of the brand. So that is open specification. Coming to closed specification. In closed specification, only products of certain types are acceptable. Right? In closed, only a certain list is given. Right? You have to use these brands of cement. From these 3 brands, you can select any of the brand. Okay, so a closed list is given to you, and only these are acceptable, and only among these 3 or any from these list you have to select your material. Equal specification. Equal specification. In equal specification, the product is specified, but substitution with equal product is acceptable. Okay, in equal specification, what will happen? They will tell you to use a cement of this particular brand only. Okay, they will tell you a specified brand or specified product is given. Okay, you have to use only that. There is no option for you, but you can substitute. Okay, you can find a substitute with which is acceptable. Okay, so they tell you a certain product that you have to use, but instead of that product, you can go for a substitute product which will give you the same performance. Okay, you have an option to switch or to substitute with the different product which is acceptable. Okay, it has to be acceptable by the other authority also. Okay, so this is equal specification. Coming to proprietary specification, wherein you do not have the option to change also. You have to use this product only. No option to change. Whatever they tell you to use, that only has to be used. Okay, as a certain product or certain brand, if they specify, you have to go for that only. No option of substitution, no option of any other changes. Okay, so these are a few specifications that you have to furnish. Okay, these are the specifications that you can use and you have to furnish in your contract document. Okay, along with that, you have next thing that you have to include is general conditions of contract. You have to include that general conditions of contract have to include. Then after that, if any special conditions of a contract are there, that has to be included. Any special conditions. Okay, then CPWD contract conditions, right? Whether in this department, if you are working in CPWD, they have some special conditions that you have to follow. Okay, so what we will do is we will cover other conditions in the next class. Okay, in this. Okay, so we have covered contract drawings. We have covered contract specifications, right? So under this contract document, right? What are the documents that you have to submit? You have to submit contract drawings, then specifications, and these conditions, all these things, right? So we have learned what are the various contract drawings, how they have to be given, and various specifications and how they have to be submitted. Regarding these general conditions, we will study in the next class. Okay, so I hope you have followed whatever I have shown and explained to you today. So if any doubt, if you have not understood any part, any section, or if you have not clear with any of the things, you can ask now. We have time. I can answer your queries if any. Okay. Or else if you have anything to share, if you have any other thing, if you know, if you want to share with your friends also, you can share. Okay. Okay. No problem. So you can give your attendance. Everyone, please give your attendance. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts, please ask. If you have any feedback to give, please. We have time. Okay, so I hope everyone has given their attendance.